Kier, special one, Kier. Kier, he's my dad, Kier.
Let's get this party started.
A handshake is available upon request.
Thank you. May I have a handshake? Every time you find yourself here, it's because you chose to come back.
Innies, outies, shake it all abouties, welcome back to the best waffle party in town, otherwise known as Severance with the Boys. My name is Luke F, and this here is Jonathan D. Say hi, Jonathan.
Hi, Jonathan.
This is going to be our breakdown and recap of episode 2 of Severance Season 2, titled Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig. John, how are you doing this week, you shambolic rube?
Well, you fetid moppet. I'm doing quite well. pretty straightforward week. Just looking forward to the weekend, having a chat with you, and just relaxing. What about yourself? You been up to much?
I spent the entire week in the break room for my terrible edit of last week's episode, where I recapped the episode for 9 minutes of it. So it's been a long week. We're gonna do things a little different this week. We have a little perk for you guys, as mentioned at the end of last week's episode. We'll be joined by a guest.
Is it Ben Stiller?
It's not Ben Stiller, although Ben Stiller did like one of my posts. So, Ben, if you're listening, please, we need you to do a soundbite for our podcast. Hey, John, do you hear the elevator?
Yeah, I hear it coming down.
Oh, I think that must be the new employee to the auditory department in Lumen, Kevin.
Oh. Hey, guys.
Hey, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin S.
I'm just back for a regular day at work.
You guys may recognize Kev from blind reviews on Movie Time with the Boys if you're a listener. Welcome, Kevin S.
Thank you. I love the idea of people like seeing my face and being like, the guy from the blind reviews, the auto one? where you listen?
I guess this is the first time I've actually seen you face to face properly, ever. We've played some games, but
This is the experience.
it's wonderful. I love it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Okay, we're just going to give a play-by-play of the episode, but this week it's going to be real quick. The outies are back. Big Jimmy Eags is angry, calls Helly a fetid moppet, which is a 1600s offensive term meaning smelly child. Enter the big weird Lumen security dude, Mr. Drummond, who looks like an evil version of Rickon. Cobell is promoted by Helly. Cobell demands an apology. She gets one. Lumen fears no one. Helly instructs Motorbag Milkshake to go to all the outies' houses and get info while wearing his sick-ass bike helmet. Irv and Dylan are fired. Outie Irv knows Milchek. What's up with that? Outie Helly records a video claiming booze and meds were to blame for her acting weird at the gala. We get a new intro sequence. That was cool, wasn't it? Don't punish the baby. What? Rickon is as unbearable and hilarious as ever. Milchek visits Mark, convinces him to return to work. Devon hates Milchek. Helly reviews footage of her and Mark power necking from season 1. She's feeling some sort of way about it. We don't know how yet, but maybe she likes it. Dylan applies for work at the door factory, turned down because he's severed and the boss man is a total severphobe. Mark and Devon are having a Barney at Pips regarding Gemma. Mr. Drummond listens in. He's creeping me out. I don't like his suit. I don't like his voice. Irv is up to something, makes a call to someone, tells them his message as an innie has been delivered. Bird is watching him from his car like a total creep. Mark decides to return to Lumen after being convinced by Milchek and a lovely looking pineapple platter. The decision is made to send Dylan, Irv, and Helly back to work with Mark because it's the only way Mark will finish the mysterious Cold Harbor file. Mark confronts Cobell, asks about Gemma, she looks guilty as shit, freaks out, speeds away. Side note, there are 6 fucks and 1 fetid moppet uttered during this episode, making this the most potty-mouthed episode of Severance yet. Alright, let's start with our guest. Kev, what did you think of Severance episode 2?
Boy, this is really difficult because I watched the last one and you've both been so complimentary, and I guess who's not on board?
Really?
I ain't feeling season 2.
This is good. I like this.
We're gonna yeah. I hope you're yeah because
Down for fisties.
I've got my qualms.
Let's hear it.
Well, so okay, Am I correct in thinking you guys like the show Lost?
Oh yeah.
Quite a lot.
I hate it.
Yeah, well, Kev, that seems like a you problem, okay? What's your issue with Lost, apart from the ending, which is the obvious everyone's issue? What's your issue with Lost?
Where the show well and truly lost me is I remember, and this is like a key. This is like a fundamental memory. I don't know if it's ever going to leave me, but I remember when they were doing I think it was the promos for the final season, and there's that moment where shaved head McMain character guy.
Jack. His name is Jack.
The show's called Lost, right? Then they were found, and in order to make the last season happen, he came on the screen in the middle of the promo and said, "We have to go back."
So hold on. Your main gripe with Lost is that it shouldn't have been titled Lost. It should have been titled something else,
No,
and you would have liked it.
my main gripe is that mystery box works for like half a second,
Yeah.
but eventually you start chasing whatever you had. And there are a couple of things with Severance in this sense where I enjoy mystery box. It's so difficult to do, and one kind of comp that came into my head was Westworld.
Okay.
Westworld season 1. Oh boy, yowza, just like spicy meatballs. You know what I'm saying? And then you get to season 2 and you're like,
Yep.
like everything has to slow down 5 months later, which isn't 5 months later, but if you've set the pace on what your audience knows, like, you know, like when I was worried with season 2, the introduction of these new characters. I'm not saying that you can't introduce new characters, but the new innies.
Mm-hmm.
I was so concerned that it's just like there is no reset button, and eventually your audience is going to know so much they grow impatient. So far, it's 2 episodes in, and we haven't moved past the beat of the end of season 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's my issue.
Okay, I respect it. John, thoughts?
Don't fully agree. For me, anyway. I know it's all personal and everyone's own opinion. For me, I see the first 2 episodes as kind of like as the start of season 2. That's how it makes sense to me. Season 1 ended. Season 2. What we want to know in season 2 is what happened to the innies, what happened to the outies. We just had first episode, what happened to the innies. Second episode, what happened to the outies. So it's slowly building, and I understand where you're coming from there, Kev. But for me, it's that kind of, because they are all technically playing 2 characters. So we're seeing what happened to the innies first. Now we're seeing what happened to the outies, and then I think it'll build from there. So perhaps it is taking too long. But for me, it's that kind of building on each character, and then the conflict of what's going on the inside against what's going on the outside, and figuring out why and where they meet together. Synergy.
That makes sense. Like I totally get that, because you're right. It's been 2 episodes. Right now, all I have is a concern. We I rewatched season 1 because I wanted to get I was like raring to go. And man,
Yeah.
what we did is that we the night that we finished the last episode of season 1, we were like, all right, first episode of season 2. And so when you're in that moment, you're just like, oh.
Yeah.
If you go straight into episode 1, I was just sitting there sweating the whole time.
I just want to point out also, this is the first time in Movie Time with the Boys cinematic universe history that we've disagreed on things.
Luke, how do you feel about Kev's opinion on episode 1 and 2 and season 2 as a whole, I guess, so far?
Like I said, I respect it, but I disagree, because I feel like episode 1 and 2 were designed to be the one side of the story and the innie side of the story and the outie side of the story. So it's supposed to be one episode, really, just like split into 2. And I think from here onwards, it's going to get a lot more separate, and we're going to learn a lot more. I am a little concerned about all the questions being introduced, and they're not going to get answered. But they have said a few times in interviews that they have an answer for every question, and everything will be answered by the end of the series. So that kind of chilled me out a bit.
I don't believe them.
Yeah, that's what Damon Lindelof said, right? So we'll see. Okay, Kev, what did you enjoy about the episode, if anything? What did you like?
I'd say the character that I've been kind of the most keyed in on is Irv, and Irv Audi specifically. Because I do love that there's this. It's very clear that Irv is kind of like a secret or double agent. I don't know. It's like whether or not he's working for somebody, but there's clearly a mission. And I think about the paintings. I think he paints the paintings. I think the reason is that like it's an image he's trying to put into his Innie's brain.
Yeah.
Like the reason the black goop and things like I think he's purposefully treating himself. There's a reason that Irv falls asleep at work because his Audi is deliberately trying to affect his like mind while he's
Yeah.
inside.
I think that's a solid theory.
Just to touch on your theory as well, because when he makes that phone call, he says that my Innie's got the message, doesn't he? So he's definitely trying to communicate with him. So
If I may,
you may.
why hasn't anybody called the police in the show yet about anything? About anything? About anything? Why?
I think Lumen's such a powerful organization. That line from Helly where she's like, "We fear no one." It's kind of like they're above the law. They probably have the law in their pockets. You know,
They own the town. All the license plates have Kia's face and stuff on them.
the town is called Kia, right? So
It's a company town, but a Lumen employee just stole a child as an act of fraud. Like that is a vulnerability. That even though it's just like, well, they own the law, and it's just like, yeah, but now you're stealing outside children. Whatever is going on with the severed,
Yeah.
that's all mysterious, and who knows? And you can act with perfect impunity. I almost wish instead of Milchick going to talk to Devin, I wish that they had introduced a character kind of like did you guys see the Fall of the House of Usher?
I never
The
watched
did
it,
not.
but I know exactly who you mean. I know which character. I watched the first episode, so
Mark Hamill plays their fixer.
Mhm.
And he
Oh,
plays
sick.
he's like the Grim Reaper. The dude is like he's like the law turned into a gun. It's crazy. And like the whole idea with him is that it's like he can do the lawyer stuff and he also does everything in the background to make sure the lawyer stuff sticks. I think it would have been a great opportunity to introduce somebody where it's like the legal arm of Lumen. That would have been, I think, a prime moment to do that. Because then there'd be a new character who also brings a new power element.
But I love Milchick as a character.
Yeah.
And he's so diverse and he has all these roles. It's so weird.
He's so goddamn stylish. He looks great.
I mean, you're absolutely correct. Like I'm with you. I love Milchick, but the problem is that he's moved into a new role. We know that Lumen is kind of like in a position that they weren't necessarily expecting for a company that seems to have endless little like scenarios and plans for every single scenario.
Mhm.
The idea that Milchick's moving into a new role, the idea that Kobel acted in a way that they weren't expecting or didn't want, for Milchick to be this effective and this efficient to kind of have this plan in play, or whatever the case may be, it's kind of like, is Milchick just going to be the answer for everything? So I'm worried that Milchick is just going to be kind of like the new face of this evil in a way.
Right.
And that he's kind of the glue between things. I'm so scared.
Trust the process, Kev. You've been hurt before, but trust the process.
This is so true. This is so true. This is not J.J. Abrams. J.J. Abrams is not a part of this production.
JJ can't hurt you anymore.
I just can't wait for their promos for next season where they go, Mark S going, we have to go back.
Oh my!
John, what do you want to? Is there any parts of the episode you want to discuss here?
Yes, lots.
Let's hear it.
Okay, cool. New credit sequence. Real
Love it.
fucking cool. So weird and cool. Lots of balloon imagery. Lots and lots of babies, which was weird. There was also, in the credit sequence, there's a car crashed into a lake, which could be related to Miss Gemma.
Didn't notice that.
What else have I got in my little notes? Fetid Morbid, obviously, because it was hilarious. The reason why they need Mark S back is to finish Cole Harbour, and we know Cole Harbour is related to Gemma because it was like superimposed on his screen last time.
Yeah.
So they need him to finish this project. What is this project? What's it related to? If he finishes it, what does it mean? It's related to Gemma. Perhaps it could be feeding into all of these wonderful theories that we had last week of where they are somehow rebuilding Gemma's memories from Mark and putting them into a new body or something like that, because then perhaps what they're doing is, and this is me fucking reaching so hard, but because they're all about the Egans staying on forever and ever and ever, if they're able to bring people back or clone them or wherever it is that they're doing, because clearly they've done something with Gemma, are they trying to keep the Egans going, or are they trying to bring back Kia and put people's memories through them because there's a baby Kia at the end of the credits? I don't know. The interview in the door factory was fantastic. Loved it.
I think one of the most surprising things about this entire episode was how different Dylan is on the outside, and he seems kind of like vulnerable and like just struggling to provide for his family.
100%,
And on the inside, he's so confident.
Quick question: were either of you catching the idea that he actually might be like a shitty, neglectful husband and father?
I think I know what you're grasping at because he didn't want to go home.
It was actually the way that he answered the phone, because he was just like, he read the room, right?
Mhm.
Like so dismissive, so hurtful, right out the
Yeah.
gate. Not even like a hello or anything like that. I've had this idea with the innies, right? It's like, why are the innies the way they are? It's just like, well, if you didn't have the circumstances the rest of your life to go on, what would be kind of like your spirit, and how would that manifest itself? Irv, as a soldier, of course he's so like loyal and like disciplined. On the outside, there's something crazy going on in Irv's life, and it's got him acting the way that he does. But without that knowledge, without that memory, as it were, all we're left with is kind of that pure distilled aspect. Same thing when it comes to Helly. Even though as an Egan, like clearly there's a lot of circumstances, but what's within her is just this deeply rebellious, highly skeptical, just like firebrand that we know that's in there. And when I look at that with Dylan, that it's just like, here's probably a guy that in his life, talk about circumstances kicking the crap out of him left and right. What is his inner spirit? And it's just like, Dylan is capable, heroic. He is smart. He's the smartest of the bunch in the way.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like that idea that it's like, we've been able to do that with Mark and with Helly and with Irv. Now seeing this element with Dylan, we can see that it's just like, what about a guy who is kind of trapped by his circumstances? He and Mark kind of have a similar aspect where if it weren't for their lives and the pain that they have, they would be these truly brilliant and wonderful people. We were building off the door scene there, but man, yeah.
I really enjoyed that door scene. It was so funny.
That little glimpse of the door scene just provided so much for Dylan. It was great.
Yeah, it was a great scene. I have a question for you guys. What year do you think it is?
I think it's just an alternative Earth type thing. It's not set in our world. Prime example, last episode where they was naming how many countries were in the Lumen video. They've seen there's 206 countries, something like that. Currently, we only have 196. So different world, perhaps. But then, like with their technology and such, is like a lot of used old technology. But then they still have phones. So I think it's just one of those that they tend to do in these kind of mystery thrillery type ones to make you feel uneasy because you don't know what time it is, where it is. Well, like with the old like cars and the old tech, but then they still have mobile phones and these kinds of things. I think it's present day, but it's not. Not everything brings up to present day. It's for me, it's like purposely vague.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say late 80s. That's way more interesting.
Not just a handsome face.
Yeah, and you're barely that. Oh, what am I doing? Look at you. You're gorgeous. Come on. Kevin, be better than that. I just got here. It's my first day. You're beautiful, man. Look at you.
Kev, if you keep this up, you won't be able to come to my waffle party, okay?
Oh, all I'm thinking about is that waffle party, you and me sitting next to each other, and then I'm wearing the goat head, and then I just do one of these.
All right, next question for you guys. Why do you think we haven't seen Dylan's wife, but we've heard her on the phone? What's the reason for that? I'm just going to preempt this by saying last week we did predictions for the season, and one of mine was that when Dylan eventually goes to the outie visitation room, where we're going to meet his wife in the outie world, and then when we see his innie meeting his wife, it's going to be a different person.
I remembered you making that prediction, and honestly, I hope you're wrong about that one. It's not that it's like, oh, I wish it was the real person. I just think that's a horizontal beat. I think that's a lateral movement. This is my thing. It's just like, wouldn't that be, it's like, oh, wouldn't that be wild if their feet, it's like, we already know they're constructing their reality. We know as an audience that we shouldn't trust anything that Lumen does with the innies. So it's like, well, what if they bring in a different person? Yeah. But my whole issue with episode 1, why would any of them trust, like they said, it's just like, we can't trust anything they say. It's just like, yeah, No shit, dude. They've constructed your whole reality. None of this is real. Having said that, why haven't we seen Dylan's wife? It's only 2 episodes into season 2. There's so much to learn.
So many questions to be answered.
Next question. This is a pretty big question. Do you think, based on the second episode, that it is actually outie Helly down on the 7th floor? Or do you think it's innie Helly?
Still 100% Helena has gone down.
But how did she go down the elevator? And
I don't know, because she still has that awkward look with Drummond when they say that Helena has to go down, or Helly has to go down again. She has that weird look.
yeah, and she looks terrified.
Yeah, and she does look at Drummond as if like they've had that talk previously. Still, all of the actions inside from season 1, because realistically, like when she popped off in the end of season 1, when she's like, "It's all about shit. Everyone eats shit." And then, so realistically, when she woke up in the elevator, like Irv did, she should have still been going, "Eat bags of shit." But she wasn't. She's like, "Oh, I'm calm. Let's have an awkward hug."
Yeah, I would be terrified too if I knew that there was a man that I've never met and have no interest in was likely going to, like, romantically engage me as soon as I got off the elevator. That would make me pretty uncomfortable too. I guess making assumptions about the Egan family, but I guess gaining somebody's trust, personal affection, things like that. I mean, fetid moppet doesn't necessarily suggest a dad that hugged anybody. You know what I mean?
True.
So, like, I think it's like, what did she see on there? It's just like, well, some dude is just like, well, that guy's going to see me and he's going to want to, I hope he has his pants on. That'd be my concern.
Do you guys have any more pressing questions from this episode that are unanswered or you want to talk about?
Why hasn't Devin called the police? Devin's my favorite character, by the way. Who cares about what anybody else is doing? Devin is the only person I trust to maneuver this story effectively.
Like, I know he's dealing with his wife's death, but I find Mark Outie quite unlikable. And the way he speaks with Devin is like, ugh.
Yeah. But also, he's just been told that his dead wife is alive and kind of get it also.
Pretty stressful situation.
Yeah.
What does he say to Cobell right as she's driving away? Like, do you know anything about Gemma? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish that moment was more urgent.
Well, it's kind of cool because you see it kind of flick in his head, and he's like, he kind of realizes that she's like, she might have something to do with it, and it's like it's a ridiculous question for him to ask because he knows his wife's dead, so he's like, oh, maybe I should ask this.
Yeah, he's already been staring at her house a few times.
He did knock on it to try and get her once, but I mean, he didn't try hard.
Yeah, like we know that Mark Scout is so resistant to kind of like face his life and to like accept that. For him to ask that question is to awaken something within him that would be, there's more anxiety there. For him to kind of blurt that question out, I don't know, that moment for me, it just took too long.
I think it flowed pretty well, but I guess opinions are just that, right?
I'm excited. I mean, they got me hooked. I'm going in episode 3. I'm ready for it.
John, do you have anything else in your notes there?
Just weird things that touched upon theories that are maybe making things weirder for us. Like, obviously, we've talked about cloning and weird stuff like that. There were a lot of doubles this episode. Like, at the door interview, they were clearly opposite, side by side, look very similar.
Yeah.
Mr. Drummond is very much so a clear kind of double of Rickon. So that was kind of weird for me. And then another weird nerd thing that I found on the good old internet, on Helena's computer, what she was working on was called Santa Mira, which was the location of the town in Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, wow. Who notices these things, man? That's crazy.
Okay, so thank you. That is the end of our episode. Thank you, Kevin, for your experience with the boys. How did you find it this week?
Man, this was really nice because I've been looking forward to this moment every time I send the audio, and I just want to be here with you so bad. Now that I'm here, I don't want to leave. They gave me the option. They were like, we can fire you if you want. You can retire. And I was like, no, dude, I'm sitting down at this desk.
Well, maybe if you hit your numbers again, one of the perks, maybe another visitation to our auditory center. So anyway, thank you all for listening. This was today's episode. You're listening to it on a weekday sometime, maybe on a commute to work, maybe you're doing the dishes. Scrub them better. Follow us on socials. We got an Instagram. We've got a Blue Sky because we're not Nazis. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple, watch us on YouTube, watch us, listen to us wherever you want to. We're everywhere and nowhere. We're behind you. Thank you again. Goodbye, gentlemen.
See you all at Pips for a cold one.
Ooh! He did it. He did the thing. And until next time,
Praise Kia.